I was telling my friends how cheap Korean beauty, skincare clinics, everything just sort of beauty related is in Korea. And their number one question for me was, why? So I have done a little bit of research, but honestly, a lot of this is kind of just my own common sense and my own sort of consensus of why Korean skincare clinics and skincare and beauty is so cheap over there. So I got laser hair removal in Korea, and at one stage I got it for 900 won. Now that was one of their clinic opening discount kind of they call it an event in Korea. It was just kind of like, it's our first week open, so we're gonna let you do one area of your body laser hair removal for 900 won. Now that is unheard of in most countries. I can't think of a country where like you would get it that cheap. Laser hair removal is very, very expensive where I'm from. So my friends were just flabbergasted, and I've made videos on this channel about me getting laser hair removal, like 3 areas on my body, like legs, lip, armpits, wherever, you know. People have private lives. I've made videos about clinics will do 3 areas for you 5 times. So you would visit the skincare clinic 5 times and they would do, like, for example, your legs, your armpits, your arms. And that could cost you between 200,000 won for everything. Not per time. And my friends and me were just flabbergasted at this price because you would never, ever, ever get a deal like that as cheap as that where we come from. So why? Why are Korean skincare clinics so cheap, and why is Kbeauty so cheap? Let's start with Kbeauty. The days of Kbeauty Korean skincare products being very, very cheap, I fear are slowly fading. I remember back in my day that Korean skincare was dirt cheap, and it wasn't dirt cheap and the products were dirt cheap for a reason bad. It was dirt cheap and the products were really, really good. I feel these days, just with politics and everything that happens, Korean skincare has creeped up, but it is still much cheaper than Western skincare. For example, a Western cream that you would buy that is amazing with the best reviews, that will do everything, that will cure your acne, cure your wrinkles, save your marriage, would cost a lot of money. And it would cost a lot of money. It would be an expensive product for a reason. And people would convince you, oh yeah, you know, invest in yourself, you know, it's worth it. But I feel like, and I have experienced this, you can get the Korean equivalent. There'd be a Korean brand that has very similar ingredients, sometimes even better ingredients, and it would be for half the price of the Western counterpart. And of course, there's also, you know, very expensive Korean skincare brands too that are kind of, you know, that high-end skincare, and it's a high-end price for a reason. But I truly feel like because Koreans have such high standards for their skincare products, the skincare brands can't really pull the wool over people's eyes, which I feel like for the longest time in the Western world or many other countries outside of Korea, they kind of have pulled the wool over people's eyes for a long time. If a skincare product isn't good with fantastic ingredients, formulated in a good way, it won't do well in Korea. Koreans truly are an informed consumer of cosmetics and skincare, and I feel like only in the past recent years where skincare is becoming such a sought after industry, it's become so much more popularized now in most of the Western world outside of Korea, that now the average skincare consumer is becoming a lot more knowledgeable about ingredients, what ingredients they want, what they want their product to do for them. But it wasn't that way for the longest time. Whereas in Korea, so many people use skincare, and it goes down to the society in Korea. Korea is a society where your appearance is very important. And this is for good and bad, but this video isn't about that. This is just explaining the reason why Korean cosmetics and skincare is so much more affordable. So because people care a lot about how they look, much more people invest in skincare compared to, let's say, Europe or the Americas, or a country that has a very different culture to Korea, which is many countries. So many men in Korea have a skincare routine and use skincare products, whereas many men, they do not have a skincare routine. I remember asking a lad once, like, do you have a skincare routine? Or like, do you use a moisturizer? And he scoffed at me and he went, do I own moisturizer? No, I'm not gay. So that's the overall stereotype when it comes to average man having a skincare routine or looking after his skin. Now, obviously, it might be very, very different in some European countries compared to other. It might be a very different thing if you're in America and you're in California. Maybe many Californian men, this is just a stereotype of mine, have a skincare routine, but then you go to Alabama and trying to find just a run-of-the-mill average man with a skincare routine is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But in Korea, men look after their skin, elderly look after their skin, women look after their skin. So because there are so many people who are really invested in skincare, it is such a huge, huge market. When you are on the streets of Seoul, for example, there's just skincare shop, skincare shop, skincare shop, skincare shop, skincare shop. It is not like that at all where I'm from. I'm trying to think of a shop that only sells skincare. That's what I'm trying to get at. I would say there are less than 5 shops in my city that sell only skincare. Whereas you go to one area of Seoul, just one tiny area, and there could be at least 20 skincare shops. It depends where you go. So obviously all these skincare brands are in competition with each other, and that's what drives the price down. That is politics, economics, people who are studying this, marketing, whatever, they know all about this, of what makes a product cheap in another country and expensive in another. For example, wine in France is very, very cheap because wine is something that is an everyday necessity. Yeah, it's an everyday necessity for an average French person because they drink wine with their lunch and with their dinner. It's a part of their culture. So therefore you go to the shop and wine is going to be cheaper in that country because there's a lot of wine from that country. So a lot of brands, they're competing against each other and people buy that product regularly, let's say. Whereas if you go to another country that's not a wine drinking country, wine is going to be more expensive. There's going to be less variety of wine too. There's not going to be as much wine there. So the skincare in Korea, think of it as like the wine to France. So many brands in competition with each other. They have to match the price of other competitors in order for Korean people to even look at them and consumers to look at them. So that's what brings down the price of Korean skincare. But what about clinics? I have here an article by Allure. This is from May, and it says, girls are flying to Korea to get ultherapy. That's a very expensive, but I've heard an excellent skincare treatment because it is cheaper than doing it in their country. They're from America. Including the flights, getting the ultherapy and the flights. It is cheaper to fly to Korea and do that than to get ultherapy back in America. Isn't that mad? But what's the reason? Well, there are more skin clinics than Starbucks in Korea. And if you've been to Korea, you know that there's a lot of Starbucks. I'm reading directly from the article now. The lady in the article, she says, if I get PRP is a different skincare treatment, in New York, I'm booking 2 months in advance, filling out all kinds of paperwork. If I cancel, it's a big boo-boo. Her name is Namval. So there you have it. I feel like in the first part I answered why skincare and cosmetics in Korea are so cheap. I think it's kind of the same when it comes to skin clinics and dermatology. There's more skin clinics in Korea than Starbucks. There is a massive, massive, massive competition between skin clinics. And going to a skin clinic is a little bit more of an average experience in Korea, I would say, than outside of Korea, or definitely where I'm from. Take a shot every time in this video I say where I'm from. I'm trying to think if I know anyone who goes to a skincare clinic. I might know one girl. Maybe I know 2 women, maybe 3, who go to a skincare clinic where I'm from. But in Korea, so many of my Korean friends, including the men, go to skincare clinics. Obviously, the skincare clinics and also the plastic surgery clinics, they're all in competition with each other. So if one skincare clinic is selling, let's say, laser hair removal for the same price that you would pay in Canada or in England or in Norway, they are going to be the outlier in Korea. Nobody's going to go to them. They're not going to do good business. But if they match the prices of the other clinics, then they're going to do good business. They're going to stay in business. The other thing is, I feel that more Koreans are getting laser hair removal than compared to where I'm from. Because when you buy a really, really expensive skincare or laser device, you then need to get customers in and you need to pay off how much it costs you to buy this device, and then you need to make profit. If you have so many people coming in and using that device, you don't have to charge as much if you have a lot of people coming in, because it will pay itself off and then you'll start making a profit and you'll keep a good base of customers coming in. Whereas if you don't have as many customers coming in as Korea to get laser hair removal, then you need to charge much, much more. It's a specialist device. It costs you a lot of money. If you don't have at least 10 customers using it per day, I that's just a number I pulled out of the air. Like I don't actually know. You need to charge more for you to make your money back within a reasonable amount of time. Let me read a little bit more from this Allure article. I want to see a little bit more about the actual price points of the difference in the cheapness of Korean dermatology and, plastic surgery and so on. For example, it says here, something that's appealing for Western tourists coming to Korea for aesthetic procedures and skincare treatments would be, for example, $500 to get a soft wave tightening treatment in Korea compared to $2,500 in America. Oh my God, I read that wrong. At first I thought it was $500 in America and I thought, oh, okay. No, in Korea to get soft wave tightening treatment is $500. But in America, it's $2,500. That's a massive, massive, massive difference. And it says here also, it goes on, and in many cases, some of the technology being used isn't yet available elsewhere in the world. It means that the technology being used in Korea isn't elsewhere in the world. This is another point to bring up, and this is more just like a side note and actually not directly related to the question of Why is Korean skincare and Korean dermatology clinics so cheap compared to where I'm from? Because there's so many clinics who are all competing against each other. It drives the prices down, that's great, but that could also mean the clinics have a lot of pressure on them to make money and stay in business. So some clinics will offer things that are too good to be true at a price that's a little bit too good to be true, and risk your safety. So please always be careful in Korea. But I do feel like in general, if you go to a good average clinic, the technology they're using is much better than where I'm from. I have gotten laser hair removal in Korea. That's the most thing I've gotten. Actually, I've never gotten laser hair removal in my own country because I can't afford it. But I have friends who have gone and they'll show me like, oh yeah, this is the device they're using. They say it's the top range. It comes from this country and it just looks old. It looks like a fax machine. So I truly do believe that Korea is living not even in the future, they're living in the now. It's a win-win because, hey, you're getting really good quality skincare treatments done with very modern advanced techniques and devices, and you're getting it for a great price. There is another video that I watched. It's a Bloomberg documentary that is from January on YouTube, and it is in one of the interviews with the CEO of Seoul Guide Medical. They are a company that will help foreigners with all the kind of details of getting skin treatments or plastic surgery in South Korea. So they'll kind of organize taxis and hotels for you, and they'll have someone who's a translator with you, and they'll kind of advise you on what clinics they work with and all of that. So Tony Medina, he is the CEO of that. And if you've been around on YouTube or the kind of Korean skincare world, you've probably seen him because he's out there a lot doing a lot of interviews. He says the most cases per capita of plastic surgery cases are done here in South Korea. That is a crazy sentence. The most cases per capita of plastic surgery are done here in South Korea. That just shows you how much surgery is done in South Korea. And he also says there's over 1,000 skin clinics in an area 43 kilometers squared. That's in Gangnam area. That's equal to the size of Manhattan in New York. And that's only Gangnam. That's not even all of Seoul or all of Korea. So the Korean government, they want medical tourism. It's good for the Korean government to have well-priced, reasonable priced treatments for foreigners, tourists to come here and get them done. Because with all of these skincare clinics that Korea has, there's sometimes maybe too much skincare clinics for the actual population of Korea. So it's good for them to bring in many medical tourists. They have a goal in 2027 of bringing in 700,000 medical tourists. This is according to the K Medical. I love when they put K in front of something like Kbeauty, K Food, K Culture, K-pop, and it's K Medical. K Medical Tourism Association president, who was interviewed, which is I don't know how to pronounce that. Hui So. Yeah. So, this is why Korean skincare, cosmetics, and Korean dermatology clinics and plastic surgery hospitals are so cheap. I may have missed out on some key reasons as to why Kbeauty and Korean dermatology, skincare clinics, and plastic surgery is so much cheaper compared to other countries. So if you have the answers, if you know the reasons why that I've missed, why Korean Kbeauty, dermatology, plastic surgery is so much cheaper in Korea, please leave a comment and let everyone know. Knowledge is power. And thank you so much for watching.